It is midnight in Baghdad. I'm Goldie.
And I'm Charlie Naughton.
And this is episode 52. Alexa,
kill this episode.
End music. We had a bit of good vibrations by the Beach Boys going on there just to kind of get us in the mood. But here we are for episode 52 of Midnight in Baghdad. That very nearly didn't go ahead today.
No. You want to tell them why?
Well, I was engaged in I'd had a different gig basically. Being the entertainer that I am, I'm in demand. But I said to myself I couldn't let Charlie down tonight for Midnight in Baghdad, so I rushed here, completely unprepared for this show tonight. But I think it could be the making or breaking of us as a duo.
Yes,
absolutely. So tonight on our show, we're going to get straight into it. You were watching the Olympics recently, Charlie. As you know, the Olympics just ended. Oh yeah, and I appreciate that. Yeah, you were watching the Olympics, the Olympics, over the last couple of days.
Yes, yeah.
And how did that go for you?
Not great. I didn't really watch much. I'm not into the Olympics, but I watched a little bit here and there just to see how Team Britain does, and they did very well.
And by Team Britain, you mean the United Kingdom?
Yes.
And what about your own country here in Ireland?
No, not really that much interested in that. We wouldn't be getting on the leaderboards or anything, so I didn't watch Irish events.
Well, we're after getting 2 gold medals. 3 technically.
How many did England get?
A lot more,
China.
but we're a smaller nation, and I think
true. No, fair enough.
We
I wonder how many of these we'll get stripped of, though.
Well, technically, nobody's ever been stripped of a gold medal in Ireland.
Fair point, Goldie.
There was obviously question marks and things like that raised, but no, certainly it actually never happened. Well, I want to talk about a story in the Olympics back in 1908. Would you believe that pistol dueling was an Olympic event?
Tell me a bit about this. To the death?
Well, not strictly to the death, but technically you were pronounced dead, but not in reality.
Like cowboys and
they used to use wax bullets, and they would wear like face masks, like much like what you'd have in fencing if your sword was actually a welding machine. It's kind
body
of
armor as well.
Just kind of body armor. When you say body armor, it's 1908, so you're talking about like a trench coat. It's pretty much what they had on them. But they used to have that as an Olympic event. Now it only lasted, I think, for one particular year, and I think it was brought back to Greece a couple of years later.
So it was only for one Olympics.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. That's something we'd all love to see, isn't it? And like, if
it would certainly be exciting, wouldn't it?
It definitely would. And like, somebody should make that into a TV show or something now. What I wanted to get is, why is it gone? Like, we still have fencing, and that's representing murdering somebody or taking their life, isn't it? Essentially.
I don't know. I've seen fencing. I think you're touching the opponent. It's a touch.
It is. Yeah, but obviously you're not really shooting somebody.
Oh, so what are you doing then?
It's just a wax bullet. So like they'll just feel. Did you ever go paintballing or something like that?
Yeah.
It would probably
you're shooting at a person.
You're shooting at a person, and it was a case of who could time it the best, be the fastest draw, aim it, etc.
So it didn't actually cause any damage.
Like, it didn't cause deaths.
No one got
more than getting stuck by a sword while you're fencing.
Okay. Is fencing still in the Olympics?
It is, yeah. It is. I don't
so do you know the answer to your question, and why did it not get?
Well, I think literally because people thought it was barbaric and it wasn't in good taste. But how, why?
Is it any more barbaric than fencing?
That's what
Actually, sorry, when did you say this happened?
1908.
So I suppose World War I comes right after that. Maybe it'd be a bit in bad taste.
Do you think it might have been World War I?
Maybe. It definitely was World War I. World War II came after, yeah.
It definitely did.
It would feel a bit weird, wouldn't it? When people are out killing themselves,
yeah,
for real,
but at the same time,
got it as a game.
At the same time, they had back on the World War I guns, the rifles. They had like
Goldie's
big
playing
fucking
air guitar
knives.
here.
What do you call them? The special knife that they used to have on the
bayonet.
A bayonet on the rifle.
Okay.
So they were sticking a knife into somebody, which is essentially fencing. I just don't understand.
You'd imagine it would have been the most exciting event to watch, wouldn't it? Because it's like the way I always think the only reason I know you're big into Grand Prix and everything, but the only reason I would have any interest in watching it would be because you're anticipating a crash or something like that. The excitement of it is the danger. Surely there would be huge excitement in what do they call it? Dueling.
Dueling, yeah. I think it would be
I
fantastic.
think they'd bring it. If they brought it back, they'd gain one extra viewer anyway. Goldie.
Yeah, but what is it like? What is it that it says about people? You know, is fencing and sword play, is that the official term? Is it something that's so skillful and something that's so uh, not cavalier, but it's something that it's like knight's duel. Do you know what I mean? It
Like
was
old
posh.
fashioned.
Yeah, it was almost classy thing to do.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe you're right.
Do you
And
know?
then boxing is the opposite, of course. You think of working class people or travelers doing boxing.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of the traveller community would participate.
But
in
still,
boxing,
that doesn't make sense. As to what I'm trying to wonder is why did this not become a regular event? And boxing
but
is probably one of the most popular. Is it?
That's the whole argument. Like, surely there's just as much skill in a fast draw, aiming under pressure. Now it's I suppose instead of risking death, you're risking not winning a medal or winning the competition. So the stakes are pretty much high for people that are participating in the sport.
Yeah.
But surely that's as skillful.
Yeah, I would think so.
But it's considered more ruffian, isn't it? It's considered like the outlaws in the Wild West and stuff like that is kind of
maybe. Yeah.
But also the French duel a lot.
Yeah, I'd imagine 1600s.
They would have had I challenge you to a duel, slap the face type thing.
Yeah, you drop a handkerchief. I slapped them in the face with a handkerchief. Did
At
you
one
ever
time it was
participate in a duel?
A duel of swords. Yeah, I have. I've crossed swords all right a couple of times.
Would you have me? You know the way you have to have a witness or whatever they call it, like the way
a judge.
No, like someone who represents you, and you take your coat off.
Oh no,
and then you give me your coat, and I stand there. Advocate.
Yeah.
Would you pick me? Is there anyone else that you'd be looking at?
So you want me to pick you as an advocate?
I'm asking you. Would you, or would you have someone that you'd be closer to that you might get to do it?
But what is this like? Somebody that like in The Knight's Tale, like Paul Bettany, that steps up and announces.
Not that I'm inferior to you. It would be more like your mate, who's
my publicity officer.
Yeah, I suppose. Like if you get killed, they'll look after your remains and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get killed, that's very different. I don't know. Like the thing with you, Charlie, is I've greater respect. I know I've great respect for you in many ways, and a lot of love. But your shows, like whenever you've done a solo act, it just hasn't really kicked off. And I'd be worried that while you would come up with something amazingly creative and sentimental that only I would understand, the mere fact that only I would understand it, nobody would get it, and it would just flop. But it would be like
you're misunderstanding.
But if we get to heaven afterwards, and we're sitting there one day going, "What you did there, man, was absolutely amazing," because I can recognize that you did it for me. But if there's none, if there's no heaven afterwards, well, then you've just done something that's been a waste of fucking time.
Yeah, but I don't think an advocate does that. I think it's just like I think you just bring someone to a duel.
Well, let's ask the question. Let's ask the question. What would you do with my remains if it was in your power?
Eat them.
No, but if it was in your power, would you? First of all, would they be cremated remains, or would they be the body?
I'd keep them as body,
the full body. So
yeah,
most of it anyway. So what would you actually do with the?
I've lots of different plans for them. Like I'll cut it up and do different things with them. For example, your hand. Yeah. I'm going to keep your right hand, so then I can do the politician handshake, which is still beyond death.
That's sentimental. Yeah.
In the olden days, people took pictures of dead bodies, and they pose with them.
They would.
It was weird. Like when a baby would die, they'd take a picture of the dead baby.
Yeah, and they would still, I think, in some Asian cultures and perhaps even some South American, they have a day every year where it kind of celebrates the dead, but they dig up their relatives and dress their skeletons in new clothes. And go around town having
the cartoon. Pixar. Oh,
it's kind of loosely based on that. That's what they do. They actually dig up the remnants. So you'd be going digging up your granny and dressing her, like doing her hair up and stuff like that. You do their hair up, dress them, and go on to town with them. Like it's fucking insane, doesn't it? But like to them, it's a celebration.
It's hanging out with them. Yeah, they don't think about it because it's their tradition.
Yeah,
I'd keep your eyes. Anyway, now for the Asian celebration.
It's funny because do you have a donor card?
Yes.
Yeah, and have you donated everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably won't want it. It's fucking filthy. But No, I when I initially signed up for a donor card back in, did you do it in school? Maybe do you remember the red and white actual card you'd write on?
It's kind of like a foley out accordion because it had all this information.
I think that even came after, yeah, but I think it might have been
So-
just a fold up thing, or even a single card. But you used to have to say, you know, I donate my eyes, my heart, my kidneys, or whatever.
Tick every.
You had
every
to tick
box.
which ones you were willing to donate, and I ticked them all except my eyes.
Why?
Because at the time I was thinking to myself, you know, you can have whatever you want of me, but I don't want to be blind in heaven. Do you know what I mean? I won't need my kidneys up there, but I fucking need to see what the story is. Do you know?
Like people be playing marbles with you up in heaven because you'll be nothing but eyes then if you believe your body continues. That would be cool. Or you could become Lucky Charm.
A lucky charm.
Lucky Charm.
But now well, actually, I don't even want it. I'm a little like, it's okay to be a little bit selfish, isn't it? Like, okay,
If you're giving all of your body and keeping your eyes, I think that's admirable.
yeah,
So
no, but I mean, nowadays my views change completely.
you're giving nothing.
I don't want to give anything. Like, do you know
Oh,
what I
of
mean?
course, yeah. Your plan is to be.
Yeah, I want to get
Cybergenically
resurrected. Like, I want to.
frozen,
My dream, and it's happening now with Musk and Virgin Galactic, Branson. You know, people are going to space for like 450,000. The next set of tickets are. They were cheaper before that. Do you know what I mean? Like 10, 15 years ago, you could have bought a seat for like $250,000 or something ridiculous. And people are like, oh, it'll never happen. But nowadays, those people are cashing in.
I think 250,000 is $250,000.
No, sorry, like 450,000 is what the price is now.
Right.
It's gone up. So for that, and even 450 is cheap for that experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So hopefully, if I last a little bit longer, I'll be able to
So have you thrown
get
out
myself
your organ
blasted
donor
into
card
space
then?
in a capsule. Have I got a new donor
Or
card?
have you thrown it out?
Yeah, I can't find it. I don't know where it is.
Okay. So you don't intend to donate
But
anything
my
now.
family would know my last wishes. But imagine, I'd love to.
I'm like
thoughts-
family to you.
Like, while I love the thought of my organs going into someone else and give them a chance at life or whatever, with a slim chance.
That's how you told your kids the facts of life.
Yeah.
Your organ goes into someone else, it gives them new life.
It's essentially it, isn't it? That is admirable and a lovely, comforting thought. But they're only going to live for so long too. So I would like, just send me up in a capsule, and let me just the initial inertia, just let me drift into space.
So
for
you don't want to
eternity.
be brought back. You don't.
Oh, yeah,
you don't
I
want
do.
to cryogenically.
Oh, not here.
It'd be easier just to freeze you because then we'd have to go looking for you in space.
But that doesn't exist yet.
It does. We did a whole show on it. Like
No,
where
cryogenics.
your brain is frozen.
No. I want, if there was an opportunity for my thoughts to be downloaded into something, I'd probably take that. But at the moment, I want the idea to just float into space for eternity until someone finds me and says, what's the story here? And has the technology to bring me back and quiz me.
Okay.
I'd probably get fucking anally probed, but
Jeez, that'd be
I think it'd be worth
double
it.
win.
It would, wouldn't it? No, but can you imagine
Do
actually?
you want to die without ever having had anal sex on you?
Do I want to die before that happens? That's kind of,
like, would it?
it's kind of
Do you want to
subjective.
experience it before you die?
I don't have mad desire to experience it. But if it was a case of if I did it, I'd live longer. Do you know what I mean? That if it was a case that if I did it, I'd die, I wouldn't do it.
So basically, you're saying if it was the 80s, a definite no.
Definitely
You're
not.
not. But now, with antiretroviral drugs, you're maybe.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
we
great.
all enjoy a little finger, and some of our listeners a fist. So yeah, why not? Why not
Okay.
go the
Go
extra
back
mile,
to this question.
or 6 inches, whatever it may be.
You genuinely did tell me, as a serious conversation, that you wanted to be frozen. Last year, 2 years ago, you told us the technology for that does exist,
Yeah, but it's
and by the time you're old, it might be affordable for people like us.
it might be. But what are the fallbacks? What are the contingencies there if that company goes bust, or the power fails, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, what if something goes wrong? There's a natural disaster, and we see, we talk about climate change. It's big in the news again this week. New reports issued. The planet is speaking to us, isn't it? Like is it? Are we denying climate? Because maybe 10 years ago we would have all known climate change is important, but not really giving a fuck about it because it wasn't affecting us. It was something that you thought, yeah, it's for a later generation. You probably didn't even give it that much thought. But now we're seeing the effects of it. And that can't be denied, can it? Is the media making us think this, or is it actually happening? Like, you look at the bushfires around the world, you look at the mudslides, the earthquakes, you look at the tsunamis, the heat wave even. Like, it's not even something that you read about in a foreign country anymore. We're actually seeing it. We had a massive heat wave here a couple of weeks ago. That, I don't, did anyone die in our country? I don't think so, but people were fucking sweating. Do you know what I mean? And we're not used to it.
So you don't hold out high hopes for the Earth surviving or human civilization.
Well, I do. I think, and I've always said that I think nature will find a way, and not to quote Jurassic Park or anything like that, but it will. Like, the Mother Earth will look after herself, and this is part of that process. This basically changing the environment is the defense mechanism.
Perhaps Mother Earth is looking after herself by eliminating.
She will, and
humans.
if she needs to eliminate us, she'll eliminate us, or certainly bring us back down to Earth. And it's, excuse a pun, but contain us, and the virus could be a part of that too.
So you're more now into sent in space?
Absolutely, yeah. Because at least in space, what's the chances of getting hit by an asteroid or being blown up or whatever? You just drift into eternity and hope that someday a nice, gentle race of people bring you back.
Okay. Well, now I know what to do with your remains. I know what songs you'll want, everything.
Folks, what would you do? What would you like to have happen with your remains? Would you just like to be cremated or buried? The traditional ceremonies that we have among our different cultures today, or would you like to do something a little bit different? Text in or message us in here and let us know. But it's very interesting. I would love to bring back dueling as an Olympic event, and I think it would be extremely interesting. If you like watching, remember Gladiators on Sky TV or BBC or whatever channel it was on? We used to love that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we love, like, the UFC is they're the modern gladiators essentially, aren't they?
That's for
the
real,
boxers,
I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So if we can accept UFC, which is fairly vicious, surely we can accept dueling, but non-lethal dueling. I'd love to see it back.
Me too.
Our next story is something that I don't want to see back, and I just cannot see this kicking off at all, or certainly something that I'd be attracted to. And if anyone has listened to our show before, let me know if we've talked about this before, because Charlie seems to think we have, but I don't believe so. Nose hair extensions are the newest beauty craze, and I wish I was kidding. Well, I wish this reporter was also kidding. Talk to me about this, Charlie, since you claim to have read it before.
Well, you've kind of summed it up there. Nose hair extensions. So this is the latest beauty trend, the latest fad. And you can see there by the picture that it kind of looks like the thing that's at the top of a tomato, a little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
So
it's almost like a spider, though, crawling out their nose, isn't it?
It's like sexually, it looks horrific. It's not in any way attractive. Is it a beauty craze, or is this someone trying to make it into a beauty craze?
No, yes, to answer you. Nose hair extensions are the newest beauty craze, and honestly, I wish I was kidding. I said that already, didn't I? Several beauty bloggers have taken to Instagram to post whether this was a trend to stay or a trend to say no to. And it's not just one beauty blogger either, it's several.
Okay.
But this is how trends start, isn't it? And I suppose years ago, when, if we take the adult entertainment industry, for example, and you look at pornography from the 70s, you see a big bush, don't you? There's a lot of hair there, and that was considered really attractive. And even, we always talk about when we were kids discovering soft porn through the likes of Eurotrash and things like that. We'd laugh and giggle if we got a glimpse of pubic hair. Like, for years, I thought that the vagina was just a big ball of hair. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realize what lay underneath.
But do you think people found that hair attractive in the 70s? Or
well, they clearly did. They clearly did. And what I'm trying to get to is that one day somebody decided to shave it off. And I'm sure people may have been equally horrified by this thought. And then eventually it caught on. And now every woman, well, the vast majority of women at the moment are always primed and ready to roll.
Okay. Yeah, I just presumed in the 70s they didn't have the easy technology and Veet or whatever just to get rid of it. I don't know. I never would have found that attractive, I have to say. But is that just because I'm living in this generation?
Perhaps, yeah. But did you not grow up as a kid, being happy with a little glimpse?
Probably, I don't know. Maybe. I certainly can't remember that. What did they have? The landing strip would have been another thing 20 years ago, maybe. Popular, I remember that.
So maybe these things come in cycles, but I just can't see this nose hair extensions. I just can't see it kicking off. Like, when will that ever be attractive?
Yeah. Last year there was a small craze among teenage girls of very heavy eyebrows.
It's still happening. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And what's very strange is that I've seen. I know a few people that have got it, and on their on their first, like when they come back from actually just getting it done, they look like a clown. It looks ridiculous, and they'll admit that themselves. But it actually takes 24 hours or 48 hours for it to actually, the
So
color.
what is it they get done? I thought it was
It's
girls
basically
just
tickling
coloring
of the brows. Yeah, no, but you can get it done as well, and they'll color them and ticken them and wherever.
Okay.
But it looks absolutely ridiculous, and then it does kind of get nice. But
Do you think it's nice?
when nice eyebrows are obviously nice, but like,
Would you consider thick
no,
eyebrows?
no.
Nice?
When it's in that stage, absolutely not. It looks absolutely fucking
Well,
ridiculous.
you're saying it's still popular. It's still on the go.
It is, and but cosmetic surgery and this obviously this hair extension thing in the nose obviously proves it, that it's very vogue at the moment, isn't it? It's the in thing. You look at, for example, Love Island. I don't know if you're watching it. I'm not, but you can't help avoid it. Mentions of it and stuff, and they're all, their lips are all done.
It's mental,
and I think they just look.
And the men have a certain. You can see one of them, and you know what they all look like. They're a certain build.
Essentially, yeah.
Tattoos,
They all essentially look the same.
Yeah,
they do. And I don't find that attractive at all. But obviously, it's the next big thing. So we're going to probably see a lot more modifications and cosmetic things.
That's crazy. So, what would you say if you were to predict now in 2021? What will, regardless of whether the nose hair extensions takes off or not, what would a crazy appearance trend be that you'd like to make as a prediction?
That I'd like to make?
No, that not that you personally would like, but that you think might happen.
That's a very interesting question. What, like, you're thinking of somebody like having a gammy eye or something next, aren't you? Or somebody being blind,
their eyelashes, something.
But it's hard to answer that question. But what I would like to see change is noses. I find that I turn my nose up at women with bad noses.
And what's a bad nose?
Like a nose that's just too big or pointy, or like a satellite or whatever. Like, it's something that's bothered me more and more as time goes on, because you could have an absolutely beautiful woman and then her nose completely ruins her, and the minute you notice it, there's never unseeing it. If you take your one from Sex and the City, Sarah Jessica Parker, she has an awful nose. It ruins her, in my opinion. She's also really tall. What's the girl that used to do the Sky Sports? Everyone loved her, brunette girl. Maybe Buzz can message in and let me know. I can't remember her name. She's a TV presenter.
But are you saying that both of these girls have long noses?
Yeah, but long noses are kind of out of shape, or bumpy noses, or like Sophie Ellis-Bextor has a kind of a satellite nose. Like, I love Sophie Ellis-Bextor. I think she's beautiful, even with her nose like that. I've come to terms with her for some reason, because she was probably one of the first. But
and there is nose jobs out there.
There is, so, and the problem with nose jobs is people can look fucking horrendous. It's so obvious that they have them. So it's something that I think is just naturally there. It's either you have a nice nose or you don't, and there's no fixing it.
Okay.
But that, I'd like to see something maybe being invented in the future that can change that. That's not
not plastic surgery.
That's not plastic surgery. Maybe you could dress it like, do you remember if you ever watched Star Trek, the Bajorans wear these things on their nose, it's like a nose ring, but on the bridge of the nose. Maybe something like that could be a little bit sexy.
I hate my nose, I have to say. And
yeah, it wouldn't be your best feature.
Thanks a million.
Natalie Sawyer. I don't think it was her. It wasn't Natalie Sawyer. I can't remember. She does all the quiz shows now, like A League of Their Own and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, Natalie Sawyer. Let's have a look at her here. No, Natalie Sawyer is... she's nice. The bridge of her nose is a little bit wide, but I don't want to be putting people down live on air.
Jesus Christ.
But no, she is fairly pretty. Rachel Riley. Yeah, Rachel Riley is a beautiful girl. I think she's a nice nose. It's not Rachel Riley, though. She would have done Sky Sports Saturday and all that kind of stuff. Brunette girl. But what would you like to see change, Charlie? Or what trend would you like to see come in? Chris Kamara. No.
What's his catchphrase, or is it just?
I don't believe it, Jeff. I don't know why he says it like that. He probably doesn't.
No, I think you have it down. Yeah, I think that's good. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Unbelievable, Jeff, yeah. And I don't believe it. It's essentially the same thing.
Do you think he's stopped saying that now because it's become...
I don't believe it. That's who I was mixing them up with. Victor Mulzu. Victor Kamara. And Buzz picks up on it.
You two guys would be brilliant in a pub quiz. You know,
it's
random shit.
Exactly.
Do you think Chris Kamara is going out of his way now to say unbelievable, Jeff? Sorry, to not say it.
No, I think he's like... I think he's just being himself. I like to think that he's just being himself, and it's just naturally who he is.
Comes out without thinking.
Yeah, like imagine he was actually this super genius guy that orchestrated that whole persona. Like he's an Alan Partridge type figure where he's not real. He just puts it on. But no, I like to think that that's fully natural.
Okay, right, interesting.
People think he's a bit depressed.
Well, we've a whole section on depression, Buzz, tonight, so that will fit right in.
Well, you can understand how he would be depressed. You know, COVID has been a terrible time for people,
exactly. And there wasn't much football.
There was no football,
while,
like, you know, so he would have been tough. He would have been out of a job, yeah. So it was tough for him.
He was probably like put into different areas in Sky Sports. Do you know what I mean? The way they still were paying salaries, so they get people to do different jobs. He could have been cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
Although, toilets are pretty much closed now. Public toilets.
Yeah. So it would have been a handy number. So talk to me. Any extensions you'd like to see or modifications?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's a going back. I hate unnatural hair colors.
Do you?
know,
yeah.
And they're becoming very common.
They became common like 30 years ago,
but in younger girls as well. Like I'm talking about extreme colors. You know, I'm not talking about someone who's a brunette bleaching her hair and going blonde, or someone who's brunette dyeing it red. I'm talking about.
But there'd be nothing worse than somebody going out and not brushing their hair, for example, or washing their hair and straightening it or something.
Yeah. What would that have to do with unnatural hair colors?
But what I'm trying to say is that if their natural hair color isn't nice, they do other things to make their hair nice. So why wouldn't they add a bit of color to it? A bit of
washing
pizzazz?
Your hair. Are you equating washing your hair and combing your hair?
Yeah, but you might. Some people just have bad quality.
It.
Some people just might have bad quality hair, or it might be like too light or too, grayish or not grayish. But it might not be a standout color. It might be like a lower shade of brown or auburn or whatever.
Which presumably a lot of people have.
Yeah, but they want to look better because it's recognized that.
Yeah, but you're just asking me. Like, I'm not forcing listeners today, to go out and
do
it.
But what you're saying is you don't like women who dye their hair essentially.
Unnatural colours, yeah.
Because you yourself dye your hair.
I don't.
Will you fuck off? Yes, you do.
I use Just for Men shampoo. I wash my hair.
And that adds a little bit of colour in naturally.
Whatever it is,
But I have definitely noticed you sometimes come up here and like your hair is like black.
Yeah, but here you can see it like in there. You see the way it's grey at the roots or something. But it's amazing. I don't dye my hair. So nobody believes me.
Over time.
Yeah, so it's a shampoo Just for Men.
Who thinks
$10.99?
Who thinks Goldie should try Just for Men hair shampoo?
I think it'll make the world a difference.
I think it would. I think I'd look a lot younger. And a lot of people are surprised by the fact that I've actually not dyed my hair. That I've allowed.
I actually thought you were dyeing it grey.
To be honest, yeah, it's getting very grey, very grey.
But yeah, that's
what the entertainment business does.
Technically, you're not dyeing your hair, and it really works.
Yeah. Technically, I don't know if I would agree with that, but we might just actually give it a go. Buzz says very little of it left. I wouldn't bother.
True.
Yeah. No, that's not very nice now.
But true.
But I don't think it's that bad. I noticed the bald spot there recently. I was looking at a video of myself.
You're so tall, no one will notice it.
Yeah, that's the problem. But when you're sitting down, it's not great.
Just keep your head up like this the whole time you're talking.
Your back would be done.
Don't let anyone choke you through sex.
We'll move on to our next story, folks. Man accidentally kills lover by choking her during rough sex session.
So
now, why did this story draw its attention to you, Charlie?
Okay. First of all, before we even get into the story, the title of the headline got my attention because it seemed a bit of a redundant headline. If you see it there yourself, accidentally kills lover by choking her during rough sex session. Does it need to be clarified that the sex session was rough if he was choking her in the first place? So,
well, I think it's implying that there was a level of consent.
Yes. My understanding, if anyone was being choked during sex, it's by definition rough. And it is beyond, shall we say, normal. sexual relations. But I'll tell you the story anyway. So we have a chap who's been
to say
presume that choking someone is rough sex.
Yeah, it might be a bit presumptuous.
Okay, right.
Like I suppose,
I take your point.
I,
So
I suppose in
choking-
today's society would be considered a little bit more adventurous, or a little bit more, a little bit outside the normal, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? But it's definitely gaining traction.
It's rough sex by definition. Choking someone is assaulting them.
Yeah, but okay, so
So-
let me put it this way: rough sex. When you say rough sex, it immediately has
connotations of violence.
connotations.
Yeah. Would you not agree with me?
I only realised it recently. He says, I suppose it does. But my question to you is that a bad thing? Like, should we not? Because it is.
I know. I'm going to go on the record here. I'm certainly. I don't know about you, Goldie. I don't think people should kill their lovers.
No, absolutely should not kill them.
Okay.
We haven't even got into that part of the story yet. But my question to you is, like, we see it even on, TikToks and memes now at the moment. The woman's in the kitchen and she's cooking dinner or whatever it is, and the husband walks past her and doesn't smack her ass, and she gives out to him, and he has to come back and smack her ass, because a loving husband or partner will never walk by his woman without smacking her on the ass. That's kind of what that's promoting.
I think
But yet, on the other side of it, you can't hit
interpret
women.
that video.
No, it's not, because that's the way. Like that,
No,
it's a
what
massive
they're doing
thing.
is they're slagging off, the whole idea of a man slapping a woman's ass. It's a parody. Like the women don't want to be slapped on the ass.
But
That's a joke.
partners do. It's not. It's a thing. It's a thing now that, like, a good and I always do it. Like, but a good partner will always smack his girl on the ass. It shows that he loves her, that he still finds her attractive, all that kind of stuff.
Would you call her a bitch?
Sometimes, yeah, or a whore.
Okay. And that doesn't cause offence.
No, because it's now in a nice, playful environment where there's this kind of an understanding between the two of you sexually.
Okay.
Buzz says he's had partners who absolutely love being choked and would beg for it. In fact, I was on
let him
holidays.
finish typing.
I was actually
To stop.
beg for it to stop. yeah. I was actually on holidays a number of years ago.
Listen. We don't need to go down memory lane here.
No, I was, and a friend that I was with actually went into a sex shop and bought like a paddle, like almost like a ping pong thing.
Oh, okay, right.
But kind of bigger than that, to beat the shit out of his missus when he went home.
Was
she
it,
was looking forward to it.
Was it like
In fact,
padded, or was it hard wood?
Oh, it's hard, but it's kind of like a little bit flexible. Like, do you know what I mean? That it's not solid. Like, do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's literally like a ping pong racket. So people do. It had skulls on it.
Right.
I'm told.
Excellent. This sounds like if the woman was into those. Do you remember the sex show we saw where a woman had a ping pong inside her and then hit it out at the end of the show? You sure that's why the guy wasn't buying the paddle?
You have to hit it back. I wouldn't be surprised.
Did you send that video of the Sex Olympics? Wasn't that you?
Oh, many years ago. Yeah, I haven't actually.
No, this morning.
No, I haven't actually got that video this year.
Okay, I thought you put that up on the Midnight in Baghdad group this morning, where it's like it was someone imitating the Olympics. It had the proper commentators and stuff, but it was a woman lying down, and a man taking a big long run up, like he was about to do a long jump and jumping in on top of her.
No, I definitely didn't send you that.
Okay.
Send it on to me, but there is videos that kind of do the rounds.
Yeah, and they're funny.
They are indeed very funny.
But this is not funny. Like this.
No,
this is.
But what I'm saying is, rough sex is okay when there's consenting parties. Is what I would say.
Okay,
but you need to.
I'm not
take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what's sad about this story, apart from the fact. No, we obviously
the fact that the woman died.
Yeah, she died, and that is a terribly sad thing.
Okay.
But it's obviously there's something unique to it that has drawn your attention, Charlie.
Yes.
Talk to me.
The guy's defense. So he admits that he killed her. After choking her during sex, his defense, as the barrister read it out, was threefold. First of all, that he admitted she died as a result of him putting his hand on her neck.
Okay.
2, that she had given consent to it.
Okay.
And at 3, therefore, he's not guilty of murder. He's guilty of involuntary manslaughter or whatever.
Okay, that seems fair.
But the judge didn't buy this.
Okay.
That he killed her. So what interested me was that I'm not saying as a result of this, but this is typical of our society today, where women have been objectified. It's always a woman who's being choked. Like if you watch porn, it's a woman who's got a man who's got his hand around a woman's neck.
But that's just what you're searching. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean to imply that that's what you're actually looking for, but you're looking for women, aren't you?
Not always, no.
But if you find gay porn, for example, you're going to see a man choking a man.
No, and
I'm sure
this is the crazy thing.
And
like I've watched gay porn, and the 2 men are together, and then randomly there's a woman.
Yeah, he's just joker. No, but so you'll see it there, but also you'll see it.
So do gay men choke each other?
Yeah, but women will choke men too. But you're not seeing that unless you specifically search for it, because it knows that.
But that's what I'm saying. You're saying I'd have to specifically search on a porn tag for a woman choking a man, but you're admitting that you wouldn't have to specifically search for a man choking a woman.
Because I'm interested in pornography where the woman is the subject matter.
Okay,
there might be a man in it, but the woman.
But you can see where we're going here. It's a real, because
even if you go into any of the pornography sites, you have an option to check whether, like at the top, it's like, are you a man? Well, it's actually it's a man figure, but it says straight. Then it has like 2 people, like silhouettes, which means, and a rainbow, I think it is, to show that it's gay. And then you have a female to show that you're looking for the fucking men to see women type of thing. So, or women to see men. And I for some reason, and I know you're going to not believe me, but for some reason that not always, but on occasion slips back to the gay section. So
by default,
yeah, I don't know why it does it. So I'd be searching up porn, like, shared wife or whatever it is that you're looking for, and you see this amazing looking video, cookies. There you go. You see this amazing video, and. Like it looks like a really good threesome, 2 guys and a girl, and it's getting off really good, and you're enjoying it, and you're obviously ready to climax or whatever. And then next thing, all the gay shit starts happening. Your man starts sucking your man off, or they have anal sex, or they start kissing, or whatever it is, and it's like you're in that moment where you just kind of have to go with it. It's too late, and then you don't know how you feel about it after.
There's a certain threshold that you've crossed that you're going to come. You can't. It's too late
it's too late
to another one.
Yeah, you won't get another one in time, so you just kind of go with it, and you don't know what way to feel about it afterwards.
Do you not feel bad, a bit guilty?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but why should I? I don't. I'm not saying I specifically enjoy it, but it's caught me off guard a few times.
But did you feel guilty?
And now I kind of find myself looking in just
hoping
to see. Yeah. What was
you
that
watch
again?
the first 5 minutes and you see how well the 2 guys are getting on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a strange one. I know. I'm getting kind of excited myself.
We're going to go to an ad break, folks.
We hope you're just as excited as everyone else does.
This guy got overly excited. We're going to name him because he's been found guilty. Sam
Green. Sam Green.
Really?
That's his name, yeah.
Oh man, Sam Green, the barrister who represented him, does not believe in choking women.
Pybus is your man's name.
Just remember that for our first apology for the next show, okay?
Oh, but the barrister's name was Sam as well. That was the problem.
Yeah, I know.
Sam Pybus,
not Sam Green.
Not Sam Green.
Sam Green is a absolutely reputable barrister with years of experience. He didn't get his client off this time, so perhaps there is some
negligence. Do you agree with this verdict? He's basically found guilty of murdering her.
Yes, not involuntary manslaughter. He was found guilty of murdering her. Yeah. So, coincidentally, or not coincidentally, the British government is making moves now of the United Kingdom. Yeah. Team British government, as I call them, is now bringing in legislation that will make it illegal for a person to choke another person during sex.
They're bringing that law in.
They are.
Wow. But, beautiful soul mind, welcome to the show. We're talking about a case here where a man accidentally killed his lover by choking her during a rough sex session. So they're thinking of bringing in a law in the United Kingdom that it's an offence to choke your woman during
Or
sex.
choke anyone during
Or
sex.
choke anybody
Yeah.
during sex.
Yeah.
And what's the conditions? Like, what's what's the definition of choke, I suppose?
That's a good point. Yeah,
You know,
aren't they going to have to define it? I suppose, is it just going to be a hand on a neck?
I would, if I was writing the legislation, I would word it as something like placing the hand on the neck of another person while applying pressure with so regard to endanger the person, or something like that.
Okay.
So it would be something that's there. So,
but you see the way
the
at the end
illegal
of your
act would not be actually
there.
doing it. It would be how far you go with it, and how far you go with it can be tested by, you know, the outcome. So if it's death, well, then obviously, you know, you definitely apply too much pressure. If it's something else, that can
I
be
think
judged.
You're kind of fudging it then, though, a little bit, aren't
Sorry,
you?
Buzz. No, but how? Like, but where's the definition? How can you, if you're going to say that placing your hand on somebody's neck during sex
and applying pressure
and applying, what you're trying to say is just placing it on the neck.
No, and applying pressure. But you had another caveat at the end of that.
Okay, but applying pressure. So define pressure. Like, the minute you touch somebody, there is an element of pressure.
Well, maybe they need to be that strict that you can't put your hand on someone's neck. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. Who knows what way it's going to be worded? But according to these people, they're saying that in a third of all murders of women have involved choking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's quite a lot. They said something like less than 3% of murdered men have been choked.
Yeah,
so
but
it's obviously an issue.
No, well, it's not an issue. What,
do you not think that shows
you're looking
issue?
at the figures wrong. What percentage?
I'm not looking at the figures.
No, what percentage of women or people, I suppose, what percentage of any person, male, female, or other, non-binary, what percentage of those have died as a result of an accident
41.
in rough sex? Now, you've just made that figure up. I'd say it's minuscule. You're talking about people who have murdered people during sex and choked them. Their intention was probably to kill them. They were going to murder them regardless.
I totally get what you're saying there, Goldie. But what people are thinking here is that choking is often used as a weapon against women to intimidate them, because it doesn't leave as obvious a mark as other forms of abuse.
Depends on what way you choke them. You can very quickly leave.
Well, I will put the link up on because it was interesting. It was scary. Are you saying you don't agree with this legislation?
No, I don't. I think if you want to engage in some role play and some scenarios and rough sex and whatever, and it's all within consent, and you all have your safe words, and everyone's happy, well, then you should absolutely be allowed to do it. But obviously, there's a limit on what you can do, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, I think that's the only legislation that will work. That it's okay to a point, but you can't. Each case has to be taken on its own merit as to if it's wrong.
Should you be allowed to punch a woman during sex?
Yeah, why not? It's not illegal to punch somebody if they consent to it. You see people do it in the boxing ring every day.
Okay.
Is that all you've got for me? So
yeah, I'm shocked. Well, absolutely shocked.
Well, can I ask you, Charlie? And I don't want to get too personal with you.
Would you like to do a moment's silence for Sophie Moss? Or
God rest Sophie Moss, and hopefully she has found happiness in the afterlife, and hopefully she hasn't left too much family bereaved behind. A tragic disaster, and poor Sam Pybus is going to pay for that for the rest of his life. And even looking at his photograph, he's not some serial killer looking fella. He's obviously distraught at what's happened here.
I like his beard.
I think that's just a pimple. And he's only a young guy, 33 years of age.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Nick Cannon again.
No, Nick Cannon, that's just about, he speaks about his reason for having 7 children.
Choking his wife.
Which is not...
When he asked her, did she want to have another kid, and he's got his hand around her neck so she can't talk.
But tell me this, Charlie, you, and again, as I said, I don't want to get too private with you, but you yourself engage in what could be considered rough sex.
We're not going to discuss that. I definitely don't, and I definitely would not put my hand on anyone during sex in an aggressive way.
Have you ever slapped somebody during sex on any part of their body?
No, never.
You see, you can't say that without a straight face. So, technically,
It's good that I can't say that without a straight face.
You could be considered as someone that has rough sex, and that's why I think you need to be very careful about these definitions. Just because it's labelled rough sex doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. A tragic ending, yes. Should it be banned? Not on my watch. Our next story, folks.
We want more women to die.
This is only on the 26th of July, so approximately 2 weeks ago or so. Son forced to remove statue of dead father due to Hitler resemblance. And if you're watching on Twitch or Facebook, we'll have the picture up there for you now, folks. Talk to me about this one, Charlie. It kind of speaks for itself, but talk me through it.
Yeah. A son, like a grown man, wanted to do a tribute to his dad who died 5 years ago. And the tribute that he decided on was to have like a replica wooden statue of his father in the graveyard. And he got a wooden statue carved of his father, and it bears a good resemblance to his father. But the problem is, according to complaints that were made in the town, the mayor got so many complaints that the statue looked too much like Adolf Hitler. So the statue has been removed from the graveyard. Now, if anyone sees the picture there, to me, if Adolf Hitler was not beside it, that picture in no way looks like Adolf Hitler to me. Yeah. There's no resemblance. So in the article it said, well, it has a very distinct haircut similar to Adolf Hitler. Now, when I look at that haircut looks like a hell of a lot of footballer haircuts to me. It does not look like Adolf Hitler's split. He's a very distinct split.
He actually looks familiar to me, but I can't place who it is. But I think the issue here, and I think everybody, if they see this picture, will agree, that the problem is the moustache, isn't it? The smig, or not the smig, but the little moustache under the nose. I don't know whether he actually has one or not.
It looks like a Mexican moustache. Does it not?
No, it could be just even a shadow that the nose is protruding and it darkens underneath, which makes it look like he has one of those Hitler moustaches. I don't think he actually has one, but you can definitely see why somebody would go, hey.
But hold on then, Goldie,
this is actually in Germany.
This is in Germany, yeah.
Now,
so
he's wearing...
Is the most distinctive thing then the moustache?
About Hitler?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It'd be his most
So there's nothing else about the whole rest of the face.
In my opinion, no, the hair is not like that at all. Like Hitler clearly has a side parting. Yeah. Another famous feature. This guy doesn't. And he has very bushy eyebrows for some reason. I don't think Hitler's known for his eyebrows, really, was he?
No, not that I can see. And in that picture there.
And the whole bone structure is different. The ears. No, nothing like him.
And the most obvious thing, Goldie, looking at... The problem you mentioned before you get that, the Schmig.
He has SS written on it.
He has a reason for that, though.
It's actually 88 is written on the crest. It looks like a football shirt or something. But that could be, I suppose, a secret way of putting SS there, isn't it? Because an 8 is just two 88 intertwined, aren't they?
88 is the reason I'd say why it's banned. That's a known symbol for the Nazi party. So 88 is used by neo-Nazis because it's the 8 letter of the alphabet. So they do it as Heil Hitler. So that's probably what got him in trouble. But if you go back to the picture of the guy...
Oh, you're right, yeah. But he actually lived in number 88.
Exactly. He has a genuine answer for this.
Yeah, but now I have to say, like, I was sympathizing with this young man, Oliver. But come on. When you have 88 written on it, and that is most definitely associated with Nazis, and you have the Schmig.
But look, what do you see on the guy's chin?
Does that look like a goatee or something?
Yeah, which Hitler didn't have.
Yeah.
So do you think now, hand on heart, this guy is genuinely trying to imitate Hitler?
It's a caricature. At very best.
But what if his dad looked like that?
Yeah, I understand that. So if his dad looked like Hitler, it's unfortunate for him, but
no, I don't mean did his dad look like Hitler. What if the statue, which I think in no way looks like Hitler, you get rid of the 88.
The 88 and the Schmig have to go. But other than that, I can see why it could cause a problem.
Schmig. I don't know. To me, it seems ridiculous that this guy has had to do it.
Active listener and Pork Chop, welcome into the show. We don't actually have a photograph of the father, which is unfortunate. But he definitely... There's resemblances to Hitler, and there's too much... what's the word? Innuendo or nuances there. Like 88 is just too...
But you were all into nuance for joking.
Yeah, I know. But I think I can understand why the government is saying this essentially
Well,
grave has to go.
I thought it was interesting. There was a link on the website to another Hitler story which happened 4 years ago when a Hitler lookalike was spotted in a Nazi dictator's hometown. Okay? So a guy who resembled Hitler was seen...
He wasn't working as a lookalike.
No.
Okay.
No, but he was entering cafes and stuff in the Austrian town where Hitler was born. The thing that grabbed my attention was it said Austrian authorities are searching for a man in Hitler's hometown who bears a ghostly resemblance to the Nazi dictator, complete with a signature toothbrush moustache, slick down hairstyle.
Toothbrush moustache, okay.
So the authorities were looking for this guy. He had done nothing wrong except that he was in Hitler's hometown and was seen publicly going around cafes. Now, I've looked up...
But you see, you have to... Germany has to have a complete zero tolerance policy around that. They can't let that happen to the country again, for one. But secondly, they can't be seen to condone what is such a shamed part of their history. So I think they do have to go extra tough. And I think every German probably has a civic duty to ensure that themselves. And if this guy happens to look like Hitler, and then still, after knowing he looks like Hitler, wears the toothbrush moustache, he's taking the piss a little bit, isn't he?
Is he? I suppose this should be about freedom expression. Can he not have whatever moustache he wants? Hitler surely is not the only guy in history that had that moustache. It's your problem and it's my problem if we identify that moustache solely with Hitler.
No, but that in conjunction with other things.
Okay. And so what? So what if he's intentionally looking like Hitler? Can someone not dress up like Hitler?
Well, it's frowned upon. And
he's not even dressing up like Hitler. It wasn't that he was going around wearing the brown shirt
or whatever.
Yeah.
No, like it's perfectly fine to express yourself and dress up as how you want to dress. But again, there has to be limits that are acceptable to society. Like if you were to go around with a vulgar word posted on your head, or a horrible, obscene picture or something, do you think that would be acceptable?
Like what kind of vulgar word?
It could be anything. Any word that's not acceptable within society. The C word. The C word, say, for example.
The C word. Cunt.
Yes. Okay. And I know you're a big advocate of that word because it actually is a part of the English dictionaries and
it's
part of history
by Chaucer.
Absolutely,
and it wasn't a bad word.
You don't think it evolved to a bad word, but society doesn't accept it.
Okay, so should I not do it simply because society won't accept it? Now I know I'll be pulled up for doing it.
Yeah. If you're willing to accept the
my
consequences,
job and
then do what you need to do. Absolutely.
But it's crazy. Would you not agree?
To a degree, I do, yeah. But I just don't think that if a country with such a horrific recent past, let's be honest, it's recent. You're talking 75 years ago, which is like just people still alive. Do you know what I mean? They need to change that perception, and they can't allow that to happen again. And they can never, ever once let something slide that might indicate that they condone what their own people did. So I think, as I said at the start, everyone has a responsibility not to do it. You have a right to do it, but you shouldn't. Would you not agree?
No.
I
think we both totally.
Okay, so if you wanted to wear a T-shirt that had hardcore graphic porn on it, and you wanted to go collect your kids from school or whatever, do you think that would be okay?
No, I'm going to get reported to the authorities. I know I would.
Okay,
and probably lose my job.
Okay, but this person, if he had known that he could get reported to the authorities, should he have not done it? Should he have shaved his moustache?
So he should have changed the way he looked.
But you're changing what you wear to go to the school.
There's a difference between the way you look and what you put on your body. So if he had that image tattooed onto his body, that would be different, wouldn't it? So but therefore, you're a bit of a hypocrite. How? So what would you want this? So you're agreeing that there's some things that people shouldn't do that's not acceptable within society. No, if this guy went out to look like Hitler as a statement, fair play to him, brilliant. But we're both agreeing he might not have here. He simply looks like Hitler. I know. So you're saying what? He shouldn't be going out in public. If he's aware that this is a problem, he shouldn't. Like, you can't help how he looks, but he shouldn't reinforce that image. Which is what, if you have the pencil or the toothbrush moustache, you're clearly trying to do. There's so many other styles you could have. You condemn him for that, or condone him? I condemn.
on this occasion for that. And I think you do too, because you wouldn't go to school wearing it on your T-shirt. What do you think?
Because
folks?
of the consequences, though.
But he has consequences now.
Well, yeah, but he could be unemployed. He hasn't been found. But anyway,
you can't make laws for different social classes. I think there's a different type of law for that. That is probably actually fascism. Like, do you know what I mean?
You're very like Alan Partridge.
Yeah, with the little hand gesture. Yeah. I've actually been watching
Delighted.
The Trip. Have you seen The Trip with Alan Partridge? Or with
Steve
Coogan and Rob Brydon? I think it's very good. It's a good insight. I know you find it hard to watch, and I can understand. There's not a whole lot really happens in it, is there? They just go for lunch. They go on a trip around Spain or whatever it is. And they go to different restaurants and they have a chat, but they're doing impressions the whole time, like they're impersonating, fucking fucking Marlon Brando or Robert De Niro or whatever, and they're having full on conversations as those characters with each other and messing and acting the goat. And it's that part is entertaining to see it, and it's kind of
were you sitting watching it, or was it just in the background?
No, I purposely went to watch it, and I've one episode to go for the end of season 3. I haven't watched season 1 or 2 yet.
3 seasons.
Yeah.
I know it's been very successful,
but it's good, and you see different. Like Steve is very flamboyant naturally, and I don't think it's too much effort for him to be Alan Partridge, if you get me, because he talks like him, exactly like him. He has a couple of expressions that are just exactly like Alan Partridge.
Although, have you seen him in serious roles, like in that one,
Philomena, that he got the Oscar nominations for? Yeah, I have, and I've seen him in Tropic Thunder. Which is like not really a serious role, but it's not his normal character. Yeah, he's not a bad old actor, and his impressions are great. And so is Rob Brydon is a nutcase.
You've certainly put it back into my head, and I'm definitely going to give it a second go. Yeah, I mean, I hated The Office, and I love it now.
Yeah, The Office is phenomenal.
Yeah, but when everyone has gone on about it, and I'm a big fan of Ricky Gervais's,
Yeah,
but I just didn't get The Office.
But you kind of get the impression that Steve Coogan is. He's like Rob Brydon pisses him off sometimes, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd say Steve Coogan is a tough guy to actually live with or to be friend with or whatever, I'd say he's a lot of work, but
friends sometimes are tough work.
They are, as we experienced. But I suppose the question is it worth it in the end? There's no chance.
Comedy gold from it.
If you get comedy gold, and you have,
are we talking about ourselves, about Steve Coogan,
Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon?
Do you think that Steve Coogan sometimes, when he's at home on his own, finds himself slipping into the Alan Partridge role, like when he's looking at toothpaste and he's?
Yeah, he probably makes little jokes in his head, and then that's how he gets to make the stories.
And you think he's quite becoming quite right wing in his mind?
Right ring.
All right,
well, he is, isn't he? He's naturally like that's.
Yeah, but obviously he's not a racist, and he's not a Brexit person, Steve Coogan himself.
No, but Alan Partridge is
and you think Steve Coogan is so imbued with Alan Partridge sometimes that he becomes that way?
I don't. Maybe we give it too much credit. I don't know. But it's definitely worth a watch out there, folks. So our next story here is mum gobsmacked at stranger's behaviour after offering to pay for her shopping. Now, this happened, this was reported, should I say, on the 20th of July, so only a couple of weeks ago. So a woman offered to pay for a fellow mum's shopping because she didn't have enough money, has revealed how the kind-hearted gesture backfired. She revealed how she noticed the woman had come up short on her bill at the supermarket till. Keen to help her out, the shopper stepped in and offered to cover the extra cost, but was left in shock when the mum added a bottle of wine and steak to the basket. The woman was baffled by the move and told the mum that she shouldn't pay for the expensive goods, forcing her to leave them behind, or that she wouldn't pay for them. The colleagues, she went back to the office then, or whatever, presumably she was on her lunch or something, and her colleagues told her that she should have agreed to pay the rest of the bill anyway, which made her kind of feel guilty. And I thought, what are you talking about? Like, I understand, and I've been tempted to do it myself. If and sometimes you do it because you just want them to fucking pay and go, so you can get checked out and just get out of there. There's probably a selfish element too, but I think there is a lot of kind-hearted people out there that go, do you know what? It's only fucking €3. She's obviously stuck. I'll do a nice gesture, and that's a lovely thing to do. And I've done it myself. I've been tempted to do it for people that I ordinarily wouldn't help out, but I kind of do restrain myself sometimes. But I do it, and I think it's a nice thing. But you have to be a little bit embarrassed, don't you, to accept it? Maybe that like there should be that almost like that. There should be gratefulness and there should be a little bit of embarrassment because obviously somebody's had to help you out, but also kind of feeling of love and humankind ship, But the cheek to go and get a fucking steak and a bottle of wine and bang it on the fucking trolley. I think that's outrageous. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally.
Would you help out?
No.
Under any circumstances?
No.
I suppose you barely paid the bill to the studio, so why would I expect you to pay for somebody else's stuff?
You could be in front of me in a supermarket queue and be stuck.
But you get so much pleasure
on my
out
phone.
of me.
I'm like pretend.
You get so much pleasure filming me and get
local radio DJ celeb can't make ends meet.
Yeah, but the woman says that she wouldn't have minded if she went off and got an extra, box of baby powder or
still would have been off. She still
food or whatever for the kids. She probably would have thought it was a little bit cheeky, but you kind of accept that. But to go and say, well, here I'm going to have a night on the fucking, I'm going to get a nice steak, I'm going to have beer. I think that's too much, and it's absolutely outrageous. Marty, welcome to the show. 100-yard alchemist, welcome into the live studio. I'm just shocked at this, and I fully agree with her and fully support her, and I think her colleagues are wrong too.
So why do you have this on the show?
I just saw it, and it's something that I kind of relate to, and I just think it's absolutely crazy. We've just become this nation of takers and chancers, and like we've talked about that before the show. We're just push our luck too far.
So do you think? You don't think it was a setup by the woman or anything like that? She just took her chance. How did this make it into the paper? I mean, there's not really a story there, is there?
Oh, well, I'm sorry if you don't think.
No, I'm not criticizing you. I'm like, what's the point of the story? Just a scumbag.
This happened in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. So listen, we'll move on. I'm sorry. Listen,
I'm not criticizing you.
As I said at the top of the show, I had 20 minutes to prepare for tonight's show due to my other entertainment
it is
gigs.
shitty of the woman. I don't see where we can go with
Okay, well let's talk about the story that you brought here, and we'll pop her up here. Russian woman sues McDonald's after succumbing to burger ad during Lent. Now, make this interesting.
Okay, now put it up here so I can do what you did and basically just read the article for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Am I lying? A Russian woman is suing McDonald's over a burger ad that she said caused her to break her fast during a Christian period called Lent. The media reported last week. So basically, this woman is an Orthodox Christian.
Can I just jump in there for a moment?
Yeah.
What I find amazing,
I knew you were going to say this,
by this article is that they're actually telling you what Lent is.
Yes, I noticed that.
It's a Christian period.
Yeah.
Is that like a holy period? I would have told her to shove it. Exactly, active listener. I would too. But yeah, this is actually a Russian made, the Moscow Times. So you're going to have to take this with a bit of a pinch of salt.
Well, no, I'm
you did further research, did you?
No, I subscribed to the Moscow Times. I don't know why you're saying I should take it with a pinch of salt.
Okay.
Where did you get the supermarket one? Daily Mail, was it, or whatever? Mirror, right? Okay.
The reputable
Which
paper.
So anyway, this woman is an Orthodox Christian, and she had given up. Apparently, Orthodox Christians take this really seriously. Like, the way when we were kids, I'll give up sweets, or you'll give up crisps, and you'll have all other sweets. So when you get your pocket money, you can just spend it on whenever you want still. But apparently Orthodox Christians take Lent really seriously. So this woman had given up meat, among other things.
It's essentially the Christian Ramadan, isn't it?
To serious people, yeah.
Yeah.
To seriously religious people, yeah. I'm going to be honest, I still don't fully get Ramadan. I know I should. Like the whole sunrise, sunset thing, very confusing. But anyway, so this woman was doing well. I think she was almost 30 days into Lent and was still doing, hadn't broken her fast so far. And then she was watching the TV and an ad came on for McDonald's with their cheeseburger. And after seeing the ad, she felt compelled to go to McDonald's and buy a cheeseburger. So she's now suing McDonald's 1,000 rubles. And the reason why is...
$13.
Yeah, $13.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. That must be real poor. Like that's more than the steak and
it is.
wine your one probably got. in moral damages for alleged customer protection violations and insulting her religious feelings. So this is just going to be going to court. Like, this only happened last week.
So
what's your thoughts?
Well, I'd love to know what she was watching, for starters.
You mean the actual main program?
Yeah, what was on before the ads? Because to me, that would probably solve this. Like, if she was watching Love Island, for example, you'd be like, "Go and get a fucking grip." Do you know what I mean? Like, if she was watching something more intellectual, I suppose, you'd probably give her. I'm not saying it would sway the case, but it would probably give her a little bit more credit.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Can we presume if she's a devout? It said they're devout Orthodox Christian.
What I find very interesting.
I
think the whole case, she's going to lose it. Okay, and the reason she's going to lose it is because of this, right? She says, the fast food chain Signature Cheeseburger and Chicken McNuggets compelled her to break her 30-day fast. Okay. So that was what we thought the case was. But it continues, as well as a 16-year streak of staying away from animal products during the period leading up to Easter. So for 16 years, she basically has been a vegetarian on the run up to Easter. Like, there's no the period leading up. Like, what's the period here? Is it 5 days? Like, how long is this fucking period?
It's 48 days, I think, isn't it?
The period leading up to Easter.
Yeah, Lent, I think they mean. Like,
oh, do you think they just mean that?
Yeah, remember they're explaining it as like a Christian period called Lent because their readers wouldn't know what Lent is.
Two different things. I like, it's a bit much. Like,
does what you're saying there not in fact give her, does it not give her actual case credence that she's managed to stay away from meat for 16 years?
She's
and now
suing a company
McDonald's
for doing their job, for marketing their product so well that she didn't have the willpower not to eat a fucking cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
She will not be the first person to sue a marketing company for doing their job that well.
I'm sure she's not, but there has to be some self-discipline here. Okay. And, if we start penalising companies for advertising their products and actually selling it, where does that leave commerce?
Well, did you hear of the case years ago of the people that took Red Bull to court?
That's happened many times.
They took Red Bull to court for the phrase "Red Bull gives you wings."
Oh yeah, because they actually couldn't fly, or they didn't.
No. They accepted that, but it was that, like, it gives you boosts of energy, which sugar would give you.
Mm-hmm.
But they won the case, and Red Bull, I think, agreed to pay, was it $20 to every family that had bought Red Bull if they could prove that they bought Red Bull. Now, obviously, no one could.
Yeah.
So Red Bull kind of lost the case in that case for false advertising.
But what was it that they falsely advertised? That it gives you a boost of energy? That it gives
you a boost of energy, yeah. And the judge agreed with the people, saying that Red Bull doesn't necessarily give you a boost of energy. It's just full of sugar. And they won. Isn't it? But you might get a judge.
But they haven't won it so well that they've stopped using that slogan.
No, that's true. So I have two questions for you.
Shoot.
Why I wanted this on the show.
Okay.
Number one, what would you do if you were McDonald's with this?
What would I do? I'd offer her a free cheeseburger for life during Lent.
Okay. Why?
Why? To show her how ridiculous she's fucking being. Like, you have to take responsibility. Like, our TV stations now are supposed to turn off food ads during Ramadan hours or Lent or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if we do that, do we have to...
They've banned smoking ads, haven't they?
They've what, sorry?
They've banned smoking ads.
They have, but where do you draw the line with that?
Where's your self-discipline there?
True, but I suppose cigarettes are known as being extremely disruptive and damaging to the body. And the addiction of it is so much that you will smoke a lot and do a lot of damage very quickly. Where I know you're going to say eating lots of burgers is going to do damage to you, but I don't think the impulse is as strong and the addiction isn't as strong as it would be for cigarettes. And it's not as over a quicker space of time. One burger is not going to kill you. One cigarette could potentially do damage.
Do you think McDonald's could? That's what I was hoping you'd say. Yeah,
Active listener says McDonald's should run with this and enjoy the free marketing.
exactly. Turn this into a publicity campaign for McDonald's that we are so good that we can make people break Lent. Like twist it, make this into an amazing.
That's like a Paddy Power ad, isn't it?
Yeah,
like our
you need someone like Paddy Power to take that and run with it.
Yeah,
and they could make it into a joke. And even if they lose the case, which you said they won't anyway, and I'd agree they won't, they've just milked it for everything. They've turned it into positive.
And even if they lose the case, they're going to lose $13.
That's my second question. Why is she suing that?
It's probably
for that specific.
I wouldn't even say
is that what it would cost?
But that could be a lot of money over there. Do you know what I mean? Oh, this is in Russia. No, it wouldn't be a lot of money in Russia. Maybe it's the price of the burger.
So then she's being real honest, isn't she? She's like not trying to.
She's making a point. She's trying to hit the papers, and she's been successful. So Charlie, this lady Kanessa Ochiennikanova, and I apologise to you for not being able to pronounce your name right.
I thought that was really good.
But would you please report back to us on this case in maybe the next show or whenever we get a verdict, just to see exactly how it works?
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be ages, isn't it? I mean,
it's going to take some time.
Yeah, but I will check it in. I will check in.
This happened only 12 hours ago, or certainly reported 12 hours ago. So
that's not bad going.
If you start seeing advertisements as such, you can thank Midnight in Baghdad. So
I went looking for other ridiculous lawsuits. Do you want to
Beautiful. I love when you go off script. Go on.
I just want your opinion on these. This was my favourite one. A kidnapper. Do you ever hear this one?
I've heard of kidnappers, yeah.
Who sued his...
the person he kidnapped.
Yeah, he kidnapped two people.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that they didn't... So they escaped and they reported where he was, and the police came and they captured him. And then he subsequently sued the people he kidnapped, saying that he had an oral agreement that he wouldn't harm them if they didn't try to escape.
That's brilliant, isn't it? I won't harm you if you don't try to escape. Yeah, that's amazing. That's basically saying I will fucking kill you if you try to escape.
But here, the gas thing is, I don't know the law. You know it better than me. Is an oral agreement, like presumably, like if you and I were kidnapped, you're going to say
on, mate.
So it's an oral agreement is meaningless.
Pretty much. There are examples where they can be, and it has to be down. Again, it's probably a little bit like the rough sex that we discussed earlier on. How much pressure did you apply? It's basically how can you prove that this oral agreement existed, and do the events and circumstances match with that? Do you know what I mean? You have to take each case on its own, but generally speaking, no, it's not worth fuck.
Okay. Second favorite one was a man who wants to legally change not his gender.
No, but sorry, you'd go back to the other story. Did he win the case?
He did not. No,
okay.
He did not.
Okay, I just wanted to
but
make
fair
sure.
fucks him for trying.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It makes you think, like, it definitely, whoever he said that to, like, took a second to go, wait, because he just found a loophole. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'll think about it.
Yeah, it does get you thinking. So you know the way we're allowed to change our name and even our gender now.
And this
I don't know. Can we do it legally? Can we change our gender legally in Ireland?
I don't believe so, but I think there is like a charter or something like that to say that you'd recognise it, but not necessarily legally change it.
Okay.
I think there has to be certain criteria. It's not something you can do willy-nilly. Huh?
I was trying to sign up to that bank we were talking about.
Yes, N26. Yes.
And you know the way you fill out the questionnaire and everything. And the only two options there were male or female. And then they had an asterisk saying, under legislation, we cannot offer a third. And I was thinking, what legislation? Like, this is a German thing. But anyway, so this guy wants to legally change his name. And here's why.
And is that why you didn't open the account in the end? Because you weren't satisfied with just sticking with one of the two?
I just feel like that's very, very binary and binding. And if that's the way they're starting off with this client, with me as a client, I don't want to be associated with N26, the best bank in Germany. Meets all legal regulations in Ireland. Your deposit is guaranteed up to €100,000 under
it's not
regulations.
It's not with N26. It's not.
It is.
No, it's not. I actually told you the other night that it is guaranteed, but it's actually not. But it has an equivalent in its own country.
Up to 100 grand.
Yes, but it's unsure whether people not residing in that country have access to it. They'd expect that the bank would look after it.
Potential
There
loophole.
is a
Dangerous.
caveat with it, yeah. So
Wow.
be careful.
Well, I don't have a passport, and they wanted a passport. Like as
A passport.
A passport. It's ridiculous. Do they actually think I'm going to go to Germany then to take out my money or something? So I said no. I actually sent him an email. No.
Your friend, Charlie.
Join the show. Next episode, August 9th. So, man wants to pick his age. Now, I know I'm throwing this out to you.
I think we might have discussed this on the show before. You're as young as you feel, and if you can change yourself into a toaster, or you can change yourself into an alien or a cat or a dog, then why not? Could you not change your age?
Good go. We couldn't have discussed this before because this is new. But look, don't worry if you don't get it. But there's a serious reason. Well, it's not serious. Well, but there's a genuine reason why this guy is saying to the Netherlands, "I should be allowed to do this."
So is this a case that he has reason to believe that his original birth date wasn't accurately recorded, or there was a mistake made, or something like that?
No, but that would be good, wouldn't it? Of course,
You could
very hard to prove that.
You could potentially do something there, but no. If this person who is 60 wants to suddenly identify as 18,
yeah.
Well, then there's so many legal ramifications in so many laws and criminality. If he identifies as 6, or say he identifies as 9, how can he be culpable for crimes?
Excellent.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I love about you, Goldie. You know your shit. That's the reason his case was turned down, because we can't change age recognition because your age allows you to certain things at certain points. I was just thinking in terms of 18, you're allowed to drink and so on. So yeah.
Well, or what if I was feeling short of money and I was like, I'm going to identify as 66 and claim the pension? Do you know what I mean?
There you go.
There's just too many ramifications. So no, if you want to go around and say that you're 20 or you're 30 or you're younger or older or whatever it is, by all means do it. But it's not going to be legal. It's not going to be like, we'll accept it, but we're not going to accept it for certain legislation and cultural norms, I suppose.
Yeah. But you're kind of right with his reason. It was a Tinder he was on.
Okay.
And he wasn't getting women, meeting him and things. He's 69 and he says he looks 49. But because of his age, he's missing out on loads of potential women.
But why does he not just say he's 49?
He's honest. He's honest.
Well, he's not really honest.
He's honest. Most people on Tinder are honest.
So you so you want to say that if he changes his age to 49 legally, then he's technically not being dishonest. But morally, yes. He's being dishonest.
Yes. But I mean, he's on the right website then. Is Tinder the cheating one?
Well, you can use it for cheating if you want. But it's like any dating site could be used for cheating, I suppose. There are specific websites for that.
Yes.
Kind of stuff.
Do you remember the one where all the stuff was leaked a few years ago?
Oh yeah, what was that? No, that was something elites, was it? Or
shitting ourselves.
What was that one?
It had a very posh name. Madison something.
Madison, was it? Yeah. Yeah, Madison, or it was something elite dating
site.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember that. But yeah, that was an expensive subscription. It was like, obviously, I'm not saying I took one out or anything, but I remember looking at it and going, Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
That was an exclusive dating.
Ashley Madison. There you go.
So that was exclusively not dating. Sorry, for cheating.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. But you see it, like you'd be looking at, you get all these pop-ups all the time, 40-year-olds are fucking waiting for you just down the road.
Oh, sure. Listen, look, I had to put this in a group yesterday because I was getting it. I kept getting it as a pop-up. I'll read it out to you. Stop the dead air there.
Stop the dead air, he says. Ashley Madison, is that not the name of something else?
There we are. Text horny mums and ask the fuck. That kept coming up for me. Text horny mums.
But you're probably looking at like dirty mom porn or something, are you?
But like, I did it.
You texted?
Yeah.
Oh, and what did you get back?
Loads. Like, for example, a lot of the mums in my kids' data group went mental. It was only later I realised.
You realised what group you'd sent it into?
No, I realised they meant it was an ad. Like, so I should have been texting into the ad, but that backfired really badly.
Really?
None of them were horny, I suppose.
But who put it up originally?
It came up as a pop-up.
In your WhatsApp group?
No, on porn. But I just did it. You know when you're really horny and you're not thinking?
Yeah.
So I just said, right, she's a horny mum, in all my WhatsApp group. I'm texting.
All right. So you didn't actually text the ad. You started texting.
That's what I'm saying.
I get you.
I should have.
Oh,
can we do one
do
more
one.
legal thing?
One more time.
Yeah, there's so many funny ones, right? Customer wants $5 million over deflated basketball. Okay, so
$5 million.
$5 million. So in 2016, a New York man went to court after a baseball maker after his ball lost some of its air prematurely.
So a baseball, not a basketball.
Sorry, basketball. Excuse me.
Basketball. Okay.
Jace Marcos accused Russell Brands, the makers of Spalding Never Flat basketballs. Okay,
wow.
So it was in the name, Spalding Never Flat basketballs. He accused him of misleading him when his ball went flat, despite advertisements saying the ball would stay inflated for a year. Now, I would have thought he had a case there.
Well, it's like they're obviously it's never flat, but for a year. So they asterisked never flat and probably put for a year in the actual advertising. Did he win the case? No.
Which surprised me.
He did win the case.
No, he didn't.
He didn't win the case.
Yeah, I thought he'd get something. Because he kind of has like they shouldn't have said never flat for a full year.
Yeah, but you see, that's good judicial decisions there. Do you know what I mean? It's reasonable. It's like, yeah, technically they're wrong because they false advertised. But like who actually thought that it was going to last for like the everlasting gobstopper? Like, did anyone ever sue them because it didn't last forever? Do you know what I mean? There has to be a bit of fucking common sense that comes with it.
But then you'll have ads saying crazy shit.
Like what?
Like the everlasting gobstopper. That is crazy when you actually sit down and think about it. We never would have thought of that as kids. But it is crazy saying that. Like, what if someone with special needs buys, they're given 50 cent or whatever the gobstoppers cost, and they buy that because they think they'll never need to buy another sweet again.
But that's like that. That's a special condition.
You think the
special needs is the reasonable person test has to apply here. And as a kid, when you bought it's marketed at a kid, when you bought an everlasting gobstopper, did you ever finish it? You fucked them out.
Yeah, you threw them out.
They got like horrible. Like the reason they're everlasting is because you just didn't want. They were disgusting. Yeah. Once you got that original flavor off them, they weren't great at all. So no, as a kid, these seem to be things that lasted forever. But no, I don't. If you want to buy a basketball that says never deflates, is it, what was it called? Never flat.
Something, yeah.
Never flat. You have to have a bit of common sense. Of course it's going to get flat. If you put a nail in it, it's going to go flat. Like, do they have to put a caveat underneath every possible scenario that could happen? So I'm delighted that he didn't win his case.
Okay.
We're going to go on to our penultimate, well, I suppose it's our final story of the evening before we get into the agony aunt. And I think you sent me the story, Charlie.
No, I think it's our
producer. This came in from our Lockhart.
Amadeus Mozart. Yeah.
Graduate creates gun that turns tears into bullets. Now, if you're looking on Twitch, or
just read it out.
I will. I'm just going to put it up there so they can have a look at it for a moment. So, a college graduate, creates gun. She makes a gun, which would be a weapon, a firearm. That
can't do much with it.
You can't do it. Turns, so basically converts tears, so eye water,
lacrimose,
into, so you can't really do that a whole lot with that, can you?
Brilliant.
Bullets. So pellets.
Brilliant. That was brilliant. Wow, I'm really impressed with that. We should do that for every
story. Yeah, the show just goes to 4 hours now because we're trying to come up with fancy ways to translate things.
It's a really curious picture under that headline.
It is. This is basically a device. So she looks like she's in intensive care because she has this, like she does, doesn't she? She has this thing on her face. She is Asian. But she has this thing on her face that essentially...
Yeah, it looks like the breathing,
it's like a breathing thing that you have up your nose. It's not up her nose.
A really bad nurse.
Yeah. It's not up her nose. It's kind of just on her nose. And what looks like a funnel resting under her eye. And it goes into this tube So that presumably she makes herself cry. The tear goes into this funnel, into the tube using perhaps capillary action, and goes into a gun that I think it
Wow.
turns it freezes the tear and
Okay.
it ejects from the gun. Now it looks
So that's the gun there.
that's the gun there. It looks kind of like a primitive paintball
Yeah,
gun or
it does,
something.
doesn't it?
Yeah. So tears trickle down the brass tubes into the main body of the gun, where they are frozen into bullets by a small bottle of dry ice.
It's brilliant.
Now it's non-lethal for now, but it's certainly,
It could easily become lethal.
it's innovative, isn't it?
It's excellent. So imagine this person. So this is only someone like 20, 21, they're graduate.
Mhm.
And they've come up with this idea already at this age. It's absolutely brilliant.
But do you think this would, like, it's obviously not, if they could turn this into something that, a lethal bullet, that the ice would be so thick or sharp or expel at such a rate that it would be lethal. Is it something that you could see being deployed on the battlefield?
Would it be, I suppose, at the
'Cause you
moment
have
more
essentially
expensive, isn't it, than
Infinite bullets,
yeah, that's
if you're
true.
crying.
Oh, yeah, well, you wouldn't wait for soldiers to cry, but you could just bring water, which you'll always have a ready source of near.
Yeah.
It's ingenious. Could it become, you're saying, could it become the future of war? Well, actually, no. Like, I think the more we move on in human history, aren't soldiers on the battlefield becoming less and less used? Now, I know it'll never totally disappear, but when you think of World War II, we think of all soldiers sent abroad, and then you think of the first Iraq War, and then the second Iraq War. Very, very
Gulf War,
small
yeah.
Gulf War, to use a proper term. Okay, very small number of soldiers sent over. In fact, probably more soldiers sent over in the administration after. So,
but you see in the news today that the US essentially pulled out all troops. I don't know, was it a year ago or certainly fairly recently, and the Taliban is gaining a foothold, and the Americans are obviously
wasn't it?
In Afghanistan. Sorry, not Iraq. And the Taliban has basically taken, I think, the sixth major or key city, some six key city there today.
Yeah.
The Americans obviously need to say, listen, we've done all we can do for you here. It's time to look after yourself. They stayed there for 20 years, pretty much. They equipped and educated the people, the government, and the soldiers, and they trained them and they gave them the equipment and said, now it's time for you to walk for yourselves. And they are lending air support and things like that, but they're not necessarily putting troops back onto the ground. And what's your feeling on that, Charlie? Because surely it comes a point where it's not the US problem anymore.
I kind of agree on that, yeah. But it does also feel like they're walking away, doesn't it? Like they're not going to admit this to defeat. But
people are going to say that no matter when it happens. Like if it was in 50 years time, 20 years time, people are going to say that no matter what. Like they can't stay there indefinitely.
And then
surely.
the same people will say, look how much billion this is costing us every year in the budget. So,
but also lives, people like soldiers' lives are being lost at
American
much lesser rate, but still, just people fighting wars that in foreign lands that they just can't really justify anymore.
I suppose we can't answer that question until we see 5-10 years down the line what happens to Afghanistan as a result of that. Will there be?
There was always going to be a vacuum created, wasn't it? There was going to be a power struggle there, and it could be a case that I think the Taliban are looking to be recognised as an actual legitimate,
and if so, then
political party.
Fair enough. I mean, they're probably no worse than other religious governments or what. Well,
I'd say they are. Like, let's be honest, they're pretty fucking crazy.
Well, I don't know. There's some crazy countries, like even Hungary. I know it doesn't have a religious government, but it's an extreme, anti-minority system in place, and they're a legally elected government. So they're probably not huge. Like it's better than ISIS, isn't it? Which would be the fear.
I don't think it crosses the threshold where it's so bad that we care so much, or that it's so repulsive. It's strict. If you look at the Arab nations, and they're fairly strict when it comes to women's rights and things like that. But it's something that we accept to a degree. Do you know what I mean? Like, accept in the sense that it's not bothering us so much that we're invading their country. Now I know you can talk about the oil factor and all that kind of there, but if you're thinking in an ideal world where it's not just about the oil, it's actually about humanitarian issues. Why are we not going into the Arab states? we accept that is their belief, even if we don't agree with it.
Yeah.
So why should we do that with the Taliban as well? I don't know. I think they cross that line where it's acceptable.
So then you think America should stay in Afghanistan and other?
I'm not saying they should stay. No, I think there is a time that they need to pull out. Definitely. You can argue that they created it, they started the war. Then people could argue that the attack started the war, the terrorist attack started the war. But there's a starting point somewhere and the difference, I suppose, with Western culture to some degree is that we forgive, don't we? We don't forget, but we certainly forgive, and we move on, and we're willing to build on, learn from mistakes, I suppose, or certainly appear to learn from them, and kind of just build and get on with each other. Whereas these nations and these political or religious parties or sects or whatever you want to call them, it's all about the history. It's all about the jihad. And it's all about, this started thousands of years ago when your country did this. And it's not even relevant anymore, but they hold on to those things.
I'm surprised
they know how to hold a grudge.
Goldie, because what you're saying makes a lot of sense. But I would find you, of all of my friends, you hold on to history more than most people I know.
Well,
you'd be bitter, I think, about it.
So you're talking about history, and we talk about memories, and we won't go down that road. But I know what you're saying. You're talking about history in a political sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's a cliche. But if you don't remember your history, you're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past, or whatever that expression is. So you have to remember it, and you have to be proud of it. But you don't have to hold grudges against entire nations and peoples that had nothing got to do with it. Like if you take, and we talk about it all the time, I suppose, in sporting events comes up, you talk about England, for example, and that's obviously what you're getting at. I have a lot of English friends. I have no issue with English individual people. My father and I have this thing going on, and where my father would support England in a sporting event, and I wouldn't, and we have a bit of banter, but verging on arguments about it.
Yeah.
And I refuse to support England as a football team. I know you do, because it's, as a nation, we shouldn't be, in my view, celebrating them or cheering them on. I have no problem with individual people, and they're lovely people, but what as a nation they represent, and that Three Lions thing, no, you definitely can't. But that's okay. That's like a rivalry, a healthy rivalry almost.
Okay.
But you don't agree with that?
No, but I just am confused. Because you're quite a Republican, it makes sense to me. But then at the same time,
not Republican, really.
You do.
I'm centre right.
Okay, but you're firm. You'd believe, for example, in a lot of what the IRA might have done.
I think there was a time when the IRA were fighting a genuine and just cause,
and you're talking about the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, as far up as the 60s and 70s. Yeah, absolutely. And because the Irish people or Catholic people were second-class citizens in Northern Ireland. They were dogs. Do you know what I mean? So there was a cause. They weren't allowed to vote. They didn't have the same rights. They couldn't go shopping. They were essentially the Black Irish, if to take it back hundreds of years previous, and not even hundreds of years previous. When Black people were enslaved or Black people didn't have civil rights, that's essentially what Catholics in Northern Ireland were. So there was definitely a cause to be fought there. You can never condone violence and the bombing of pubs and innocent and stuff like that, but there most definitely was a cause to be fought, and legitimate targets were hit, I suppose.
But so were pubs.
And so were pubs, yeah. But a lot of the pubs would have been like where the military would have socialized and things like that. But I'm not condoning it. But
no, it's a very complex thing. But I just don't see how shooting.
But it was successful.
A soldier.
It was a successful campaign.
It was.
If you take do the ends justify the means, it was successful. There is stability to to some degree, I suppose, up there now, and it's power sharing, and it's potentially in a couple of years' time we'll have 32 counties again. There just talks about it for the first time ever. There's talks in political circles about it. So you might see it happening. I think it would ruin the country personally, but I love the idea of it. But in reality, it's not going to work. So my point, Charlie, is if the ISIS people and Taliban, whoever, want to hold on to their history, absolutely you have to, but you don't have to act accordingly. Do you know what I mean? You can forgive and move on, and that's what they're lacking capability of doing, in my view. Folks, we got very serious towards the end of our show there.
Yeah, we did.
It's an unusual. We normally try to liven it up as we go on. Tell us what your thoughts are. I can't even say it now. Tell me what your thoughts are. Popski, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Presumably from Poland with the ski at the end of their name. That may be a little bit presumptuous.
We'll into winter sports and music.
And we're going to go on to my favourite part of the show now. Oh, I'm an agony. And
never get bored of that.
So this is the segment of our show where you basically a fan of our show has written into you, Charlie, to ask me.
It'd be so much easier if you let me just write it.
It would, but you're always moaning. So what can we do? Who are we talking to this week? Belinda. Heaven is a place on earth. I can't not. How do you hear the name Belinda and not think of the very famous song?
Or Belinda Blinks.
Belinda, welcome to the show. What have you got for me?
Dear Goldie, I have a rather awkward dilemma. My sons are aged 5 and 3 and they have started to go to our local creche since I have had to go back to work because my husband committed suicide 6 months ago. They seem to like the creche so far and are happy going in each morning. The only problem so far has been the, quote, brown guy who is in their group. I'll call him T-Bone for short. Let me start by saying that we live in a predominantly white neighbourhood, and this is my children's first exposure to a person of colour.
Mm-hmm.
Both sons have complained that T-Bone has hit them and generally makes a lot of noise in the class.
Okay.
He also constantly complains and skips cues as if he doesn't need to follow rules. I want to tell the teachers at the creche, but I don't know how true the story is. Part of me is afraid that my boys might be racists and have zeroed in on the only, quote, brown guy in the room. I don't even know what to say to them when they refer to him this way anymore.
They call him the brown guy.
Yeah, but they're
5 and 3, so they're
they're calling him by his colour.
Yeah, you kind of have to accept initially a little bit of innocence there, don't you, on the child's behalf?
Yes.
In relation to that. Now, again, you could argue that the child didn't lick it off the stones. Do you know what I mean?
Brown guy is a good child's description. It's,
Oh, it is, but
it could have had worse.
But to even notice it, some children don't even notice that at all. They don't. It's so normal for them that they don't even pay it any attention whatsoever.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I'll say that my own children certainly does comment on it, and is conscious of it. And but again, it's a lovely innocence that they have. So you'll have to give benefit of the doubt here. But it does concern me that.
Do you think though as well that kids, like even adults, you'll just say, "Oh, the tall guy." You look for a way of identifying a certain person, and if those white kids,
and we've discussed that countless times on the show. It is a descriptive term.
Yeah.
But what concerns me the most, Belinda, is that you're even writing in to me about this. Like, my question to you would be, what would you do if it was a white kid? Would you approach the parents to ask the question? Or would you just let it go? The fact that this child is obviously a child of African descent, why is that even in your story? Why is that relevant? Why is that a factor in your decision making? Do you know what I mean? So that brings us to a crossroads, and it's either A, because she is in some way racist, or what we call, I think, subconsciously racist these days. Is that the term for a lot of people? White privilege and all that kind of stuff. Or is it a case that she isn't racist at all, but is so aware, like probably you and me, Charlie, that if she does it, it could be conceived that way. Or perceived, not conceived. You'll be texting me. Can you say conceived that way?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, or perceived that way. I don't know if you're aware, folks, but every kind of Tuesday or Wednesday, I get a list of Charlie. He texts me all the kind of words I mispronounced and got different meanings for. So it's quite interesting. So I thought that might have popped up. But which one is it? And that's what I'm kind of struggling with. So I think I need to kind of give two answers. And I think the first one is, if it is the case that you are the racist, subconsciously racist person, well then go speak to them, because you're not. Go speak to them, and it won't be an issue. It will literally be you going to a mother talking about her child who is attacking, is it, and being a nuisance in the school and the play groups or whatever.
Talking loudly.
Yeah, so go talk to them like any other mother.
So
that's what you need to do. You need to get over
unconsciously racist in that she doesn't want to have any contact with a woman of color.
Yeah, she's making it an issue, and it's not an issue. The issue here, Belinda, is actually you. Just go talk to the mother and treat her like you would anybody else, and that's the way you need to do it. Buzz says it'll be a long list. This work, and any week, the shame. Basically, yeah, a very what's ironic, is it?
Yeah,
that he mispronounced it. But then the other thing is that if you're so woke, that you're aware it could be an issue,
and now she feels she can't do anything, and this kid will get away.
Yeah, I think you need to judge the situation a little bit more. I think you need to.
I get the impression she's not asking her kids too many questions.
No, I think she needs to perhaps talk to other mothers in that case, and just ask the question, and not go and say, "Oh, have you heard about this brown kid?" Just go and say, "Oh, how are your kids getting on?" Like, in a sly,
it'll be easy
constructive
enough to
way.
Suss out the mothers,
just go, "Oh, how are you getting on? How's your kid getting on in playgroup?" And just tease the information out. I think that's the best way to do it. And if there is obviously an issue there that the mother brings it up, well, then yeah, at that point, I think you need to go talk to them. And I think, and I know that's totally, one I'm saying talk and the other I'm saying not talk to, but I think they're both right in that particular situation, because how you approach things with your attitudes is what will deliver the outcome.
But if you're saying that Belinda's unconsciously racist, how will she know what to do?
I think it'll just be more natural. Do you know what I mean? I think you just need it'll just be a more natural thing for you. But I hope that makes sense, folks.
Do you
I
think
hope
the fact that her husband committed suicide 6 months ago might be why she's so hesitant to bring it up with her kids? Like, she doesn't want to upset them more?
Potentially, it could be absolutely a factor in her thinking, and she's probably looking for something, a cause or something to do with her time. But to fill the void of her husband, she needs something else in her life, and perhaps it's going to be this drama. Unfortunately,
so
that's
mixed advice.
It is mixed advice. I think you need to look inwardly, as always, Belinda, and figure out which of those people you are, and take the appropriate action. Please let us know how you get on. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
It's like messy. Sorry, I didn't realise it would go on for that long.
Much appreciated. Folks, that is pretty much all we have time for tonight. I've had a great time, and I'm sorry if it wasn't your typical energetic and amazing show. Benji Boyle is entering the studio just as we're about to head off air. But do go to Podbean,
all
go
your
to
donations
Facebook
tonight. It's been great.
Go to Twitch and check in and look back over the show. Benji, we had a chat about American politics, so do have a listen and let us know on our next show. When is our next show, Charlie?
September the 11th.
It's not, is it?
I have no idea.
It is in September, but we'll get back to you on the actual date. I know, Benji, thanks for joining us. Really, really appreciate the sentiment of you coming in. Buzz, as always, thank you very much for your input. Romo Clan, I see you entered the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. I've been Goldie Metcalf.
I'm Charlie Naughton.
And this has been Midnight in Baghdad.